The Alberta wind carried whispers across the Heartland pastures, a familiar soundtrack to a life Amy Fleming had carefully, painstakingly rebuilt. Years had passed since Ty Borden, her husband, her partner, the father of her child, had been ripped away, leaving a void that time could only partially mend. The ranch, however, endured. Jack Bartlett remained its steadfast anchor, his quiet wisdom a comfort. Lou, ever the dynamo, juggled the Dude Ranch, Maggie's diner, and her mayoral duties, her life a whirlwind of ambition and family loyalty. Tim Fleming, gruff but devoted, stepped up, finding purpose in his role as grandfather and offering support in his own unique way. And Lindy, their daughter, grew like a wildflower, bright and resilient, embodying the love that still echoed in the rafters of the barn, though her memories of her father were constructed more from photographs and stories than direct experience. Amy poured herself into her work, the intuitive connection she shared with horses, a source of healing and purpose. She'd learned to live alongside the phantom limb of grief, the ache that resurfaced in quiet moments, watching Lindy ride Spartan, the scent of pine after rain, the way the setting sun painted the Rockies. There were tentative steps towards a new future, perhaps involving Nathan, the kind veterinarian whose presence offered gentle companionship without demanding she forget the past. Life had forged a new path, different from the one she'd envisioned, but a path nonetheless. Yet, beneath the surface of acceptance, the question of Ty lingered, an unanswered echo. What if? The possibility felt like a betrayal of the peace she'd fought so hard to find. Unknown to the Fleming Bartlett clan, far from the familiar fields, a different kind of healing had been taking place, slow and incomplete. A man had woken up years ago in a remote clinic, his body battered, his mind a blank slate. No identification, no memory, just fragmented images, and a deep instinctual knowledge of horses. He'd spent years piecing together a semblance of life under a different name, haunted by flashes of a place he couldn't name, a woman's face he couldn't place, a feeling of belonging that remained achingly out of reach. He drifted, working odd jobs at stables and ranches, always feeling like a ghost searching for his own grave. Then, a trigger, perhaps seeing a news report about a rodeo in Calgary, hearing the name Alberta, or encountering a horse that mirrored Spartan's gentle nature, caused a cascade of fractured memories. A ranch house, a loft, a young woman with flowing hair, her touch gentle on a horse's muzzle, a little girl's laughter. The name Amy surfaced, raw and powerful, driven by an instinct he couldn't explain. He began a journey back, not knowing what he would find, or if the fragmented memories were real or merely figments of a damaged mind. He was a ghost returning, not from the dead, but from the fog of lost identity, drawn back to the one place that resonated in the empty chambers of his memory, Heartland. The wind picked up, carrying not just whispers, but the sound of an approaching vehicle, setting the stage for a collision between the life that was and the life that had been rebuilt from its ashes. The old blue pickup truck sputtered to a halt near the iconic Heartland barn.
Hello,
looking as out
Heartland
of place
fans!
as the man
Brace
who
yourselves for
slowly
the
climbed
season
out.
we've
He
all
moved
been
with a
waiting for.
hesitation that
Graham
wasn't just
Wardle's
about
official
facing the
announcement has
past,
sent
but about the
shockwaves through the
uncertainty of
Heartland
whether this
community.
place,
Ty
these
Borden is back,
fragmented images
and his
in
return is
head,
set to
were even
change
real.
everything.
He looked different,
Season 19
thinner,
promises
the
an
lines on his
emotional
face
roller
telling a
coaster
story
as
of
we explore
confusion and
Ty's
hardship,
shocking
rather than
reappearance.
just time.
What does
His
Ty's return
eyes
mean for
holding a
Amy?
haunting
Will she
vacancy
choose the
mixed
love
with
of
a
her
desperate
past
search
or
for
the stability of her present?
Amy was in
The return of
paddock,
Ty
working
Borden
with
is more than
Phoenix,
just a
her
surprise.
movements fluid,
It's the
a
emotional
dance of
turning
trust
point that
between
fans
human
never
and
saw coming.
horse.
For
Lindy was
years,
sketching in a
Heartland
notebook on
viewers
the
have
porch
shared
swing,
Amy's grief,
Jack
watching her
nearby,
rebuild her
cleaning
life
tack.
after Ty's
Lou had
departure.
just pulled up,
His sudden
back from a
reappearance,
town
announced by
council
Graham
meeting,
Wardle
and Tim
himself,
was heading
has
towards the
left
house for
fans with
coffee.
burning
It was a
questions.
typical
How is
Heartland
Ty back?
afternoon,
What does
bathed
this
in the
mean for
warm
Amy's
glow of the
future?
Alberta sun.
And most
Amy
importantly,
glanced up,
how will the
annoyed
family
at the
navigate the
interruption,
emotional
then
storm his
froze.
return is
Her
sure to
breath
bring?
hitched. The
Season
world
19
tilted,
opens with
sound
Amy
faded
living
to
a
a
life
dull
of
roar in her
quiet
ears.
stability.
It looked
She's
like
found peace
Ty,
in her work with horses,
impossibly,
her role as a
achingly
mother
like
to
Ty,
Lindy,
but
and
the
her partnership
eyes,
with
they
Nathan.
were searching,
But everything
confused,
changes
not
when Ty
filled with the
unexpectedly
confident
walks
warmth she
back into her
remembered.
life.
It was like
His
looking
presence
at a reflection
reignites a
in disturbed
torrent of
water.
emotions,
Jack rose
love,
slowly, his
pain,
expression
and a
shifting
longing
from
that
mild
Amy thought she had
curiosity to
buried for
stunned
good.
disbelief.
For
He
fans,
recognized the
it's a
face,
bittersweet
the build,
moment.
but sensed
On
the
one hand,
disconnect,
Ty's
the
return
underlying
feels like a dream
confusion.
come true.
Ty,
On the
name
other,
escaped
it's a
him,
reminder of the
question more
wounds
than
that
a
time hasn't
statement.
fully
Lou
healed.
slammed her car
The emotional
door,
tension
her
begins
usual
with a single
briskness
phone call,
evaporating
a
into
cryptic
wide-eyed
message
shock.
hinting at a
Tim
visitor from
stopped in
Amy's
his
past.
tracks,
The Bartlett
suspicion
Fleming
warring with
family is caught off
disbelief.
guard,
Is that
each member
it can't
responding
be?
in their own
Lindy
way.
looked up,
Jack, the
curious,
family patriarch,
seeing the stranger
remains
and the
stoic
sudden,
but wary,
absolute
his
stillness of
protective
her
instincts
family.
on high alert.
Mommy, who is
Lou,
that?
ever the
Amy
pragmatic
couldn't
sister,
answer. She took a
struggles to
step
make sense of the
forward, then
situation.
another,
And
drawn by an
Nathan,
invisible
Amy's current
thread,
partner,
her heart
finds
pounding
himself
a
standing.
frantic
Hello,
rhythm of hope
Heartland
and
fans.
terror.
Nathan is
Ty,
leaving
she
Heartland.
whispered,
News
her
that has
voice
shocked
trembling as she
fans.
reached
But here's the
him.
twist.
He looked at
Amy,
her,
who has
his
already
gaze
lost so
intense,
much,
searching.
is now in
There was
love
a
with
flicker,
Nathan.
a
Will his
spark of
departure
recognition
shatter
deep
her heart
within the
once again,
confusion.
just
Amy,
like
he
Ty's death
murmured,
did?
the
Or
name
worse,
tentative
could
on
it
his
push her toward a
lips,
fate
as if
similar to
tasting it for
Ty's
the
tragic
first time
end?
in years.
What will happen to
I
Amy
think
and
I
her
know
daughter
you.
Lindy as they
This
face
place,
yet
he
another
gestured
painful
vaguely,
goodbye?
his
Grab your
brow
tissues,
furrowed in
because the next
concentration.
chapter of
I
Heartland is
remember,
not going to be
horses,
easy to watch.
aloft. You,
Heartland Season
the
18
fragmented
kicks off with a
admission hung
wave
in
of
the air,
emotions that
heavy
no one
with
saw coming.
implication.
Nathan,
He
who has
wasn't just
slowly
back,
become an
he was
irreplaceable part of the
lost. The
Heartland
shock
family,
rippled through the
drops a
family.
bombshell.
Jack stepped
He's
forward
leaving, but why
cautiously.
now?
Son,
Like just when his
what
bond with
happened to
Amy
you?
had grown so
Ty
deep
looked
and
at
meaningful.
Jack,
Fans
then
are
at
left
Tim and
heartbroken,
Lou. His
and the
expression
Heartland family
clouded.
is thrown
I
into
don't know.
emotional
There was an
turmoil. Nathan's
accident,
exit
I
isn't
think,
just any
a long
farewell.
time ago.
It
I
echoes
woke
the
up
loss of Ty
somewhere
Borden,
else.
a
Didn't know
tragedy
who
that
I
still
was.
haunts Amy
Until
and the
recently,
viewers.
I
Ty was
started
Amy's
remembering
first love,
fragments.
her
This
soulmate,
place,
and his
her.
death left
His gaze
scars that have
returned to
taken
Amy,
years to heal.
locking
But
onto her
now,
with
with
desperate
Nathan's sudden
intensity.
decision to
The
leave,
reunion wasn't
fans are
one of
asking the
joyous
same
relief,
terrifying
but of
question.
profound
Will Amy
confusion and
survive
heartache.
another
He was
loss?
here,
The season begins
physically
on a note
present,
of quiet
but
tension.
mentally adrift.
Nathan,
The
as calm
questions
and
were
reserved as
immediate,
ever, seems
overwhelming.
distant,
Amnesia?
detached even.
How? Where
Despite
had
the
he
family's
been?
attempts to
Could
draw
his
him back
memory
in,
return?
Amy senses
Amy felt
something
the
is
ground
wrong.
give way beneath
Their
her.
connection,
The
which
man
has
she
grown
loved
deeper
stood
with every
before her,
season,
yet he was a
now feels
stranger in many
strained.
ways.
She
The
notices
grief
his
she had
hesitation
processed
during
threatened to swamp her
conversations.
again,
His longing
complicated now
stares
by
at the
this
open
new,
horizon,
agonizing
and his
reality.
growing
The
silence
anger
when
she
they're
might
together.
have felt at abandonment
These small
was
moments
tempered by
hint
the
at a
tragic
larger storm brewing
possibility
beneath the
that he hadn't
surface.
chosen
As the
to
news of
leave,
Nathan's
but
decision
had been
breaks,
stolen by
Amy is hit
circumstance.
harder than
The
anyone
challenges
else.
ahead were
Over the
immense,
past few
not just
seasons,
forgiving a
Nathan has
perceived
become her
abandonment,
confidant,
but
her friend,
navigating the
and someone
painstaking
who
process
reminded
of
her that
helping
love
him
and
reclaim
trust
his
are
lost
still
identity,
possible. Their
all while
connection wasn't
grappling with
forced.
her own
It
rebuilt
grew from
life,
shared
and the deep
experiences,
unresolved
mutual
feelings his
respect,
return
and quiet
inevitably
understanding.
unearthed.
It felt
His
natural,
presence wasn't a
genuine,
solution. It was
and
the
right.
beginning of
But
an
Amy has
entirely
loved
new,
and lost
complex,
before.
and emotionally
Ty's death was a
shattering chapter
defining
for
moment,
everyone at Heartland.
not just for her,
The
but for
aftermath
the
of Ty's
entire
return
Heartland
settled over
series.
Heartland like a
His
heavy
sudden
fog,
departure left
thick
her
with
broken,
unspoken emotions
struggling
and
to
daunting
rebuild her
questions,
life while raising her
gathering in the
daughter,
familiar
Lindy,
warmth of the
alone.
kitchen. The
Nathan's
tension was
presence brought a
palpable.
sense of peace
Ty
back
sat at the
into Amy's
table,
life.
looking
A
overwhelmed,
sense that
studying the
maybe,
faces
just
around him
maybe,
with a
she could
mixture
love
of
again.
fragmented recognition
Now,
and
with
profound
Nathan leaving,
confusion.
her
Amy
fears
tried to bridge the
resurface.
chasm, showing
The
him
parallels
photographs.
to Ty's
Speaking
tragic
of shared
exit
memories,
are undeniable.
their wedding,
Fans are
Lindy's
left to
birth,
wonder,
moments at the
is this
ranch, but his responses were hesitant, disjointed. He recognized snippets, feelings associated with images, but the continuous thread of his own life remained broken. He explained what little he knew about the intervening years, waking in a hospital far away after what doctors assumed was a riding accident, the slow recovery, the frustrating lack of identity, the drifting existence that followed. He spoke of the sudden, overwhelming flood of partial memories that had finally led him back, drawn by an instinct he couldn't logically explain. Jack listened patiently, his heart aching for the young man he considered a son, but also for Amy, watching her navigate this new complex pain. His practical nature focused on the immediate medical help, neurological assessments, the possibility of recovery. Lou, oscillating between shock and logistical planning, was already thinking about doctors, legal statuses, the sheer disruptive force of this event on their carefully managed lives. Tim, however, remained guarded, his protective instincts towards Amy making him inherently skeptical. Amnesia, just like that, after all this time, he questioned, not unkindly, but unable to shake his suspicion. It just seems too convenient. Amy found herself torn. Part of her desperately wanted to believe, to pour all her energy into helping this broken version of Ty find his way back. The love she still felt for him, buried beneath layers of grief and healing, surged forward. Yet, another part, the part that had survived and rebuilt, was terrified. What if the memories never fully returned? What if he remained this echo of the man she knew? Where did that leave her, her life, the tentative steps she'd taken towards a future without him? The presence of Nathan, and the stable future he represented, loomed large in her internal conflict. And then there was Lindy. Introducing her daughter to a father who didn't truly remember her was heart-wrenching. Lindy, initially hesitant, approached Ty with childlike curiosity, showing him her drawings, talking about Spartan. Ty watched her, a deep sadness in his eyes, reaching out tentatively to touch her hair, a flicker of paternal instinct battling the fog in his mind. "She's mine," he asked Amy quietly later, the question laced with wonder and pain. The family agreed they needed professional help, neurologists, therapists. But beyond the medical path lay the emotional minefield. Could they rebuild trust when the past itself was fractured? Could Amy open her heart again to this man who was both Ty and not Ty? The uncertainty was immense. Ty's return, born of tragedy rather than choice, presented a different kind of challenge, less about forgiveness for leaving, and more about the painstaking, potentially heartbreaking journey of recovery and rediscovery. His presence filled the physical void he'd left, but the emotional landscape of Heartland was now more complex and treacherous than ever before, leaving everyone wondering if the man they loved could ever truly come home.